There comes a moment in life when you quietly realize that nothing is working, not because you lack talent, not because the world is against you, but because somewhere deep inside, you have lost control over yourself, your habits, your thoughts, your direction. And in that silent realization, a dangerous question is born. What if I stay like this forever? What if I never become the person I know I could be? And today, if that question is haunting you, then listen carefully, because this is not just another motivational talk. This is a wake-up call drawn from one of the most powerful books ever written on discipline, responsibility, and meaning. The book is 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson, and what you are about to hear might challenge you, might shake you, but if you truly understand it, it can rebuild your entire life from the ground up. So don't just listen, absorb it, because this might be the turning point you didn't know you were waiting for. The first rule says, stand up straight with your shoulders back. And this sounds simple, almost too simple, but it carries a deep truth. Your body speaks before you do. Your posture tells the world whether you are ready to face life or hide from it. And more importantly, it tells your own brain who you are. When you walk like you matter, you start believing that you matter. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you practice physically before it becomes mental. The second rule says, treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. And this is where most people fail. You care about others, you give advice to friends, you help people you love, but when it comes to your own life, you ignore your health, your goals, your discipline. You become careless. Imagine if you treated yourself with the same respect you give to someone you love. How different your life would look. The third rule says, make friends with people who want the best for you. And this is brutal because it forces you to look around and ask, are the people in my life pushing me forward or holding me back? Because the truth is simple. You cannot grow in an environment that rewards your weaknesses. If your circle celebrates laziness, excuses, and comfort, then your future is already compromised. The fourth rule says, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. And this is where social media has destroyed millions of minds. You scroll, you compare, you feel behind, but you are playing the wrong game. Your only real competition is your past self. If you are even 1% better today than yesterday, you are winning, slowly, silently, but surely. The fifth rule says, do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. And even if you are not a parent, this rule applies to your own behavior, because every bad habit you allow yourself to continue becomes something you start to dislike about yourself. And self-respect dies not in big failures, but in small, repeated compromises. The sixth rule says, set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. And this is a powerful slap of reality. It is easy to blame society, the government, your circumstances, but how organized is your own life? How clean is your room? How disciplined is your routine? How clear are your goals? Because chaos outside often reflects chaos inside. The seventh rule says, pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. And this is where your entire life direction is decided. Do you choose what is easy or what is right? Do you chase comfort or purpose? Because meaning requires effort, sacrifice, discipline, and most people avoid it because it is hard. But without meaning, life becomes empty, no matter how comfortable it looks. The eighth rule says, tell the truth, or at least don't lie. And this is not just about speaking to others. It is about not lying to yourself, not making excuses, not pretending you are doing your best when you know you are not. Because every lie you tell yourself builds a false reality, and living in a false reality guarantees a real failure. The ninth rule says, assume that the person you are listening to might know something you don't, and this is the foundation of growth. Ego blocks learning. Humility opens doors. When you truly listen, not to reply, but to understand, you expand your perspective. And in that expansion, you find opportunities you never saw before. The 10th rule says, be precise in your speech. And this is more powerful than it sounds. Vague thinking leads to vague results. When you clearly define your problems, your goals, your thoughts, you gain control. Clarity is power. Confusion is weakness. The 11th rule says, do not bother children when they are skateboarding. And this is about allowing risk. Growth does not happen in safety. It happens when you step into the unknown, when you take risks, when you fail and learn. If you avoid risk completely, you also avoid progress completely. And the 12th rule says, pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. And this is about something most people forget. Life is hard, unpredictable, sometimes painful. But even in chaos, there are small moments of peace, small moments of beauty. And if you are too busy complaining, too busy chasing, too busy worrying, you will miss them. And those small moments are what make life worth living. Now, if you step back and look at these rules together, you will notice a pattern. This is not about quick success. This is not about hacks. This is about building a life of responsibility, discipline, meaning, and awareness. And that's why it is so powerful, because it doesn't promise easy results. It demands real change. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Your life will not change until you change your daily actions, your mindset, your standards. No motivation, no video, no book can fix your life if you are not willing to take responsibility. But the moment you do, everything starts shifting, slowly at first, then faster, then powerfully. You start gaining control. You start building confidence. You start creating a life that actually feels meaningful. And that's the goal. Not just success, but a life that feels worth living. So, from today, stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop blaming your past. Stop comparing your journey. Pick one rule, just one, and start applying it. Because transformation does not begin with everything at once. It begins with one decision, repeated daily. And if you stay consistent, if you stay honest, if you stay committed, then one day you will look back and realize that the person you once wanted to become is now who you are. And that's the power of living with rules. Not restrictions, but principles that guide you towards a better version of yourself. And the choice is yours. You can ignore this, go back to comfort, stay the same, or you can take control, face reality, and start building the life you truly deserve. Now imagine this. What if everything in your life right now, every frustration, every delay, every confusion is not a punishment, but a signal? A signal that something inside you needs to be rearranged, strengthened, or completely rebuilt. Because one of the deepest ideas hidden inside these 12 rules is that life is not meant to be easy, it is meant to be meaningful. And meaning does not come from comfort, it comes from responsibility. And the moment you accept responsibility, not just for your success, but for your failures, your mindset shifts from victim to creator. And that is where real power begins. Because victims wait, they complain, they blame, but creators act, they build, they adapt. And if you look closely at your own life, you will realize that every time you avoided responsibility, you also avoided growth. And every time you faced something difficult head-on, even if it hurt, you came out stronger, wiser, more aware. And that is exactly why Peterson emphasizes order and chaos, because your life is constantly balancing between these two forces. Order is where things are predictable, structured, safe, and chaos is where things are uncertain, challenging, and full of potential. And most people either run too far into order and become stuck, bored, lifeless, or they fall too deep into chaos and become lost, anxious, directionless. But the real growth happens at the edge, right between order and chaos, where you are stable enough to not fall apart, but brave enough to explore the unknown. And this is where your dreams live, not in your comfort zone, but just outside it, waiting for you to step forward.
And think about this. How many times have you avoided doing something just because it felt uncomfortable, just because it required effort, just because there was a risk of failure? And in those moments, you didn't just avoid discomfort, you avoided opportunity, you avoided growth, you avoided becoming stronger. And slowly, without realizing it, you trained yourself to choose comfort over progress. And that is how potential dies, not in one big moment, but in small daily decisions. And that is why discipline is not a punishment, it is a tool that protects your future from your present weaknesses. Because your mind will always try to take the easy path. It will always try to avoid effort, avoid pain, avoid uncertainty. But your future depends on your ability to go against that instinct, to do what is necessary even when it is not convenient. And that is where character is built, not when things are easy, but when they are hard and you choose to act anyway. And here's something even deeper. Most people are not afraid of failure. They are afraid to realize their true potential. Because once you know what you are capable of, you can no longer hide behind excuses. You can no longer blame circumstances. You can no longer settle for less. And that responsibility is heavy, but it is also liberating, because it means your life is in your hands, not controlled by luck, not controlled by others, but shaped by your actions, your habits, your mindset. And this is why truth is so important, because truth forces you to see reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. And yes, sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes it shows you that you are wasting time, that you are not disciplined, that you are avoiding your responsibilities. But that pain is necessary, because only when you see clearly can you change effectively. And if you keep lying to yourself, if you keep justifying your inaction, then nothing will change, no matter how many videos you watch, no matter how many books you read, because information without action is useless. And transformation only happens when knowledge turns into behavior, and behavior turns into habit, and habit turns into identity, and identity shapes your entire life. And this is where most people give up. Not because they cannot change, but because they expect quick results. They want instant success, instant clarity. But real growth is slow, it is uncomfortable, it is repetitive, and it requires patience. And if you are not willing to go through that process, then you are choosing to stay the same. And that is the harsh truth, but also the empowering truth. Because the moment you decide to stay consistent, to stay disciplined, to stay honest with yourself, your life will start changing. Maybe not overnight, maybe not in a week, but definitely over time. And here is something powerful you need to understand. Your habits are votes for the type of person you want to become. Every time you wake up early, every time you choose to work instead of procrastinate, every time you choose truth over comfort, you are casting a vote for a stronger version of yourself. And every time you avoid, delay, or make excuses, you are voting for a weaker version. And over time, these votes decide your identity, not your intentions, not your plans, but your actions, repeated daily. And that is why small changes matter, because they compound, they build on each other, and eventually they create massive transformation. And this is where most people underestimate the power of consistency. They think they need a big breakthrough, a big opportunity, a big change. But in reality, it is the small daily improvements that create extraordinary results. And if you can master your daily routine, if you can control your habits, then you can control your future. And that is not motivation, that is reality. And here is another truth. Life will test you again and again. It will put you in situations where you feel like giving up, where you feel like nothing is working, where you feel like you are alone. And in those moments, your mindset will decide everything. If you see those challenges as obstacles, you will stop. But if you see them as opportunities to grow, you will keep moving. And that is the difference between people who succeed and people who don't. It is not talent, it is not luck. It is the ability to keep going when it is hard, to stay focused when it is boring, to stay disciplined when it is uncomfortable. And that ability is something you can build step by step, day by day. And once you build it, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not criticism, not setbacks, because you become stronger than your circumstances. And that is the ultimate goal. Not to have a perfect life, but to become a person who can handle anything life throws at them. And when you reach that level, when you become that person, you don't just achieve success, you create meaning. And meaning is what gives life depth, purpose, and fulfillment. And without meaning, even struggle feels empty. But with meaning, even struggle feels worthwhile. And that is why these rules are not just advice, they are a framework for living a powerful life. A life where you are in control, where you are growing, where you are becoming better every single day. And if you truly understand this, if you truly apply this, then your life will not just improve, it will transform completely, deeply, permanently. And the journey starts with a simple decision, a decision to stop running, to stop avoiding, to stop making excuses, and to finally take responsibility for your life. Because at the end of the day, no one is coming to save you, no one is going to do the work for you. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you take control, and the sooner your life begins to change in ways you never imagined possible.
And now comes the part most people avoid. The moment where everything you have heard stops being just ideas and starts becoming a mirror. Because if you are truly honest with yourself right now, you already know what you need to change. You already know where you are wasting time, where you are making excuses, where you are choosing comfort over growth. And the truth is, clarity is not your problem. Action is. Because deep down, you don't lack knowledge, you lack consistency. And that is exactly where your transformation is waiting. Not in learning more, not in watching more videos, but in doing what you already know you should be doing, again and again, even when you don't feel like it. Because feelings are temporary, but actions create permanent results. And this is where discipline separates dreamers from achievers. Because dreamers wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect time, the perfect conditions. But achievers act anyway. They move forward even when they are tired, even when they are uncertain, even when no one is watching. And that is why they win. Not because they are special, but because they are consistent. And if you really think about it, your entire future is being decided right now in the small choices you are making every day. The choice to wake up or hit snooze, the choice to work or procrastinate, the choice to focus or get distracted. And each of these choices might seem small, almost insignificant, but together they are shaping your identity. They are deciding who you are becoming. And one day you will wake up and realize that your life is not a result of one big decision, but thousands of small ones, repeated daily. And that realization can either scare you or empower you. Because if your past choices created your current situation, then your present choices can create your future. And that means you are not stuck, you are not trapped, you are not limited. You are simply one decision away from starting a different path. And yes, it will be hard. Yes, it will require effort. Yes, it will test your patience. But that is the price of growth, and there is no other way. Because every meaningful life is built on effort, sacrifice, and responsibility. And once you accept that, once you stop looking for shortcuts, once you expect easy results, everything becomes clearer. You stop feeling frustrated by the process and start respecting it. You stop running from challenges and start embracing them. You stop doubting yourself and start trusting your ability to improve. And that is when confidence becomes real. Not fake, not temporary, but deeply rooted in your actions. Because real confidence is not thinking you are better than others. It is knowing that you can handle whatever comes your way. And that kind of confidence cannot be given. It has to be earned through discipline, through effort, through facing difficulties again and again until they no longer control you. And this is where your mindset becomes your greatest weapon, because when you train yourself to see challenges as opportunities, failures as lessons, and effort as progress, nothing can break you.
Situations might shake you, people might doubt you, results might take time, but you will keep moving forward. And that is the difference. Because success is not about never falling. It is about always getting back up, stronger, wiser, more determined. And if you can build that mindset, if you can develop that resilience, then your potential becomes limitless. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. And that is the ultimate transformation. Not changing your circumstances, but changing yourself. Because when you change yourself, your actions change, your habits change, your results change, and eventually your entire life changes. And this is where most people miss the point. They try to change everything around them without changing what is inside them. But the truth is, the outer world is a reflection of your inner world. And if you want better results, you need better habits, better discipline, better thinking. And that starts with taking full responsibility for your life. Not partially, not when it's convenient, but completely. Even for things that are not your fault. Because responsibility gives you control. And control gives you power, and power gives you the ability to create the life you want. And this is why these 12 rules are so powerful, because they are not just rules, they are principles that force you to face reality, to take ownership, to build strength, and to live with purpose. And if you truly follow them, not perfectly, but consistently, your life will start to transform in ways you cannot even imagine right now. And one day you will look back at this version of yourself, the one who was confused, the one who was struggling, the one who was searching for answers, and you will realize that this was the moment everything started changing. Not because something magical happened, but because you made a decision. A simple but powerful decision to take control of your life, to stop making excuses, to start taking action, and to never settle for less than what you are capable of. And that decision, repeated every single day, will take you further than any motivation ever could. Because motivation fades, but discipline stays. And when discipline becomes your identity, success becomes your byproduct, and meaning becomes your foundation. And that is the life you deserve. Not an easy life, but a meaningful one. Not a perfect life, but a powerful one. And the only question left is, are you ready to take that first step? Not tomorrow, not someday, but right now. Because your future is waiting, and it is being shaped by what you choose to do next. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it.
And for more such powerful and life-changing content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay happy, stay safe, and keep working on yourself.